What's going on, everybody? Hope you are all doing well and have had a good week since I last spoke to you. I have been busy working on my many projects and stuff. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Got some progress done on the new book, and also the the screenplay for the old book. I'm kind of finished the pilot to some extent, so I got to try to figure out how to sell it now. I don't know what the hell was going on in the chat before I signed on here. But yeah, I was going through I kind of like started writing the screenplay for the first book to procrastinate from finishing the second one because there were just parts of the second one that were annoying me. And then I realized that like once I was going through the screenplay for the first one, I was like, man, I have like a second and third season kind of with the second book. So I'm probably going to use that for that too. All that I had to finish was the pilot, and then that's what I need to try to get it sold, but I have quite more than the pilot done. Um and yeah, just before I got on, I saw that ICE might be stopping traffic stops after everything that's happened. Nathan Lane, you talking about the guy on the thumbnail looks like Nathan Lane? I could kind of see the expression, I guess. I want to see if I can. She's leaving already. Okay. You're gonna be alone up there for 3 hours. It's okay. Go ahead. She's staring at me. Dog distracted me. I want to see if I could post this on Blue Sky because they have this live function now that wasn't working for me before. But let's see if it works now because it says YouTube works now. Yeah, it still says the service is not supported while the live feature is in beta. Twitch, Streamplace, Bluecast, YouTube, Substack, and Beehive, and I gave it a YouTube link. What's that shit about? Let's see. Yeah, see, look. Try to post the YouTube link, and it says it needs a YouTube link. Very strange. But yeah, as I was excuse me. As I was working on the screenplay for the old book, in the midst of all the conversations that were happening last week about powerful people being predators and shit, because there was a lot of situations like that spread across both books because it's the music industry and there's a lot of bullshit that happens in there. And sorry, man. Wow. There jeez. I apologize. Yeah, so there was this one particular situation that kind of came back to me while I was going through it. And it was this incident that ended up like I put it in the first book. There was this guy that was involved with the club early on, the Black Hole, like with me and him and two other people founded it, basically. The rave events there. And the one dude was like much older than us. We were in our early 20s and late teens, and he was like, you know, late 30s probably. And he was like one of our suppliers and shit. And he like took advantage of this younger girl. She was like 18 or something. He gave her a bunch of drugs one night, and um it was like, it was a fucked up situation, and I yelled at him about it in front of like a VIP room full of people at the club when I was all fucked up. It was like New Year's, I think. Yeah. And then he ended up he had like more pull with the owner back then. So he ended up like getting me not banned from the club, but he ended up getting me like kicked out of that company. So I could still come to the club and go to the shows if I wanted to, but I wasn't a part of that like group anymore that I helped found. So that's when I went up to Philly uh and started working with Mickey of God's Basement. And I was just like working for him, like doing street team shit, helping out. And that's where I made all my connections. But that was like a big pivotal thing, that argument with me and him, and then me getting kicked out of the club. I eventually came back once I made my connections. But the wild thing about that whole thing was, obviously I put that in the book, and it was a bunch of other stuff that went in the book about that guy too, because I mean he was notorious for a lot of shit. Cops came to his house over another girl that he was with one time, and like a bunch of crazy shit with that guy. So he came to my book release party, and I of course changed his name for legal reasons, and his name was Clyde in the book. And he came to the party. Somebody else bought a book that he was with. He started flipping through. He flipped through the first couple pages and recognized the situation that he was in. So he he recognized that he was Clyde. And so he went around the whole party telling everybody that he was Clyde before he got to like chapter 6, where you know that whole thing is. The next day, I guess by the next day he got to chapter 6, and apparently he was pretty pissed off. But the point of this is it a lot of conversations were happening the other night, like or last week, where people were saying about like, why would somebody run for office if they have that much dirt on them? And first of all, my thing is, I think that's how you get into office, is that you have blackmail on you. Like that's the only way they let you in, probably. Um, but why would somebody who has so much dirt on them like put themselves out in public like this? And part of it is like narcissistic arrogance, but a lot of it is the fact that um people have this weird block where they just totally don't even think about the harm that they've caused people. And they're, even though they were fully cognizant of what they did, they look back on it a different way. And so many people are able to kind of like think that they're like just perfectly innocent, okay people, and they've done like super fucked up shit. Um, like to the point where that guy thought that he was going to be safe in that book when me and him had beef forever. And it started with that shit. So I ended up eventually coming back to that club once they were failing like 6 months later, and taking it back over, but with my own crew that time and my own connections. That's part of what that book is about. But It is wild, and a lot of these people in power do this. And when I say power, it doesn't necessarily have to be like politics or um yeah, I got along with Ruben. The other guy was Joe. He's dead now, Clyde. Um, but that was the guy. Shakedown Street Productions or whatever is what he ended up being after. Originally, it was me, Joe, and my friend Alex in Black Hole Productions, and then we let Ruben in, and Ruben was a part of it, and then we let Convict in, and Convict was a part of it. But Ruben broke off and did his own thing, and then me and Joe got in that fight, and then that's why everybody had their own deal after that. The one wild thing about the kind of all over the place, but I forgot to mention with the screenplay, I was working at a funeral home at the time that I was started throwing raves. So that I mentioned it in the book, but in the screenplay, like there are actually going to be it's going to be a little bit more a part of the plot, like my day job during that time, because I think that's going to make it more interesting of a sell to managers and stuff like that and networks. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it is. It is unfortunately something that we've been dealing with for a really long time, and I felt the need to talk about it and publish that video because of the conversations that I was seeing. Micah behind you. What's that mean? Um, but yeah, there's always this like pull to defend people, even when the situation's like kind of obviously fucked up. And I've seen it like so many times. And when I published that video, like a couple people unfollowed instantly, which I expected. And that's why I said something at the end of this video, that video, where I was like, you know, this is basically the same thing I'm talking about here is what I was talking about with the Epstein situation. Um, and I think that people have a resistance to the kind of retribution that was threatening to come from Me Too. It didn't actually come. Nobody actually really saw any consequences for the things that were revealed during that. But you know, people are resistant to that. But when it comes to Epstein, like everybody's on board with fuck that guy. And if you think about it, it really is the same issue. It's people being abused and it's lack of accountability. But with the whole Me Too situation or some of these situations that we've had more recently where there are, men in positions of power that are accused of things and, quite credibly so, there's still this kind of resistance. And I think it's because with Epstein, the issue is far away. Like, who knows a billionaire that buys children? That's like this evil supervillain that we could point to and say that that's separate from a part of our lives. When really, it's like this is people in our family. This is people in our friends group. These are, priests, cops, teachers, politicians, leaders of anarchist groups and shit, leaders of socialist groups, leaders of environmental groups, like people in our communities, yoga instructors. Like it's people who are close to us that are doing this on a mass level. And of course, what Epstein did was horrible, and that is still happening. But I think for some people, that kind of issue and looking and shining the light more so on that issue allows people to kind of bypass bringing accountability in more difficult situations in their own lives. You know, standing up to that uncle in the family that everybody knows did something, or standing up to, you know, a friend who is abusive with their partner. That stuff's harder for people to stand up to. And I think that sucks. You know what I mean? Um, and I do think that that kind of externalizing the issue and making it into like a supervillain situation, like all the time, um, you know, that that can definitely allow people to ignore the stuff that's happening in their own communities. And even the situation with Epstein, if you actually read into it, many of the children that he bought, the families of these children were complicit in that situation. Um, you know, with Virginia Giuffre, there is highly, um, you know, she never said it herself, but there is, even with the way that she described it, it seems suspicious about her dad's relationship with both Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein prior to her being abused by them. And there were many other, like Sasha Riley, for example, said that his family was involved in it. Many of the other victims. So, you know, I think it's just important to remember that this is shit that is happening in our communities, and it's not just some far away supervillain situation. It was a bad week for Grams, though, huh? Because Lindsey Graham suddenly died. Shocking. And oddly enough, APAC posted this big ass message about how their finest soldier has fallen. Like, this is hilarious as far as I'm concerned. Like, APAC mourns the passing of Senator Lindsey Graham, a great friend and a true champion of the U.S. Israel relationship. For more than 2 decades in the United States Senate, his voice was a constant reminder that a strong Israel is firmly in America's national security interest, and his commitment to those principles never wavered. Like, this is beyond parody, man. And yeah, see, look, jokes write themselves. Who will APAC replace him with? His sister, apparently. I guess his sister, who has never run for public office before, has never had a role in the government, is now taking over his spot because we live in a monarchy. I was thinking about that the other night. Like, so many of our political families are like political dynasties. They like been in politics forever. I mean, it is like an oligarchic m- um oh shit. Thank you. There it is. And it's an oligarchic monarchy, like a distributed oligarchic monarchy. Yeah, this is AIPAC's statement on the passing of Lindsey Graham. He served with dedication for more than 30 years with the people of South Carolina. AIPAC is grateful for his lifetime of service to America and his determination to ensure the alliance between the United States and Israel remains strong for generations to come. Nah, I never saw it. I have to put that one on my list. Yeah, nepotism rules the world, man. People don't realize this. It really is. In the arts, like in in so many situations. Even business, like if you're starting a business and you like got to go get a loan from the bank, you're in a lot different situation than somebody who gets $100,000 loan from their parents. And that's just on a very basic level. But when you're talking about politics and entertainment and shit like that, it is very rarely does that an outsider get in. And there's all this stuff with Lindsey Graham's alleged male escorts who are coming forward and telling their stories about Lindsey Graham and stuff. That has been a speculation about him forever. But anybody can post anything at this point because he can't sue anybody. So, I mean, I believe it's true, but I believe like some of them are probably true. But given the fact that I'm sure not 100% of them are true. So I wouldn't know which ones to bring up on screen and read off. You know what I mean? But long story short, exactly, the NDA expired. So there's a lot of people telling their piece about Lady G, as he was apparently known, or Ladybug as another one of his nicknames allegedly. I saw this video of this guy attacking this Waymo. And this looks like a guy that used to go to the Free Your Mind conference. I'm pretty sure it isn't him, but it looks like exactly like him.
Traffic came to a stop at the busy intersection of Sunset and Edgemont in East Hollywood due to a man vandalizing a Waymo. Take a look at this. Police say they arrived to find a shirtless man on top of a Waymo in the middle of the intersection. This is video posted to the Citizen app. The man was seen on the crushed windshield holding a bent windshield wiper while screaming at the sensor on the top of the Waymo. Traffic had to come to a full stop as the Waymo was stopped right in the middle of the street. It's still unclear if anyone was in the Waymo when that destruction started. Officers arrived on the scene and arrested that man for vandalism. Well, traffic came.
He like smashed in the windshield and shit. I hope nobody was in there. But there was another case where like there were kids in a Waymo drinking alcohol or something like that, or playing with toy guns. Maybe they were real guns. I'll have to look up the story. And the Waymo delivered them directly to the police department. I gotta look it up because I don't have the link handy because it just yeah. Waymo called the cops on teen riders, raising privacy concerns. Police in San Mateo, California posted Monday on social media that they had apprehended a pair of teenagers from a Waymo driverless robotaxi after the company alerted authorities to suspected criminal activity. It's the latest incident involving video surveillance of passengers and others by autonomous vehicles, raising questions about the limits of privacy in such vehicles. The 15-year-olds were allegedly drinking alcohol and shooting toy guns from the car, according to the police. They said Waymo systems detected behavior that that then triggered a safety response, after which the company disabled the vehicle and contacted police. The robot car thought it was inappropriate. Uh, so this is wild. Did it just like assume their age? Well, I guess you have to pay for it so they know your age, but that shit is outrageous. Like, I feel like an Uber driver would probably like. I would be afraid to do shady shit in an Uber because the Uber driver might call the cops or something like that. You never know who's a snitch, but you don't have that kind of guard up, I guess, when you don't have a human driver in the car, but you need to. I wonder if adults are allowed to drink, and they're probably not, because I don't think you're allowed to have an open container like on the car, regardless if you're a driver or not. In a transparency report, Google says it received nearly 290,000 requests from governments worldwide in the first 6 months for disclosure of user information across all its platforms, including Waymo. Oh, so that's all Google platforms. So who knows what chunk of that is Waymo? Yeah, people got to understand they're being watched at all times in these kind of things. But yeah, I think there's gonna be more people smashing up Waymos. I mean, they got attacked that one time. Didn't people during a protest call a bunch of them to the same spot and then firebomb them or something? And really, with this flock thing, I have never seen such a mainstream resistance to something like this. Like, it's quite risky to fuck up these cameras, but it's become like the new Scientology speed run. People are posting their TikToks, and I saw one video last week where it was a couple of them clipped together, and I thought it was just you know one one group of people, and now it's all over the country. People are doing this shit. So I think it's awesome, and it seems to be one of these issues that no matter where you're at politically, you hate these things. This guy, we talked about him last week, Javon Martinez. He did it, I guess, his first interview since he uh he vandalized the cameras. But yeah, I have never seen this type of resistance on this mainstream of a level. And by this type of resistance, I just mean like resistance that will get you in trouble. This is not changing your profile, your social media profile picture to something. Like, this is something with stakes that people are doing. And that's a big development. I mean, look at the guy who just attacked the Waymo car, and and maybe he was homeless and mentally ill. He was on Hollywood Boulevard, so there's a high chance of that. But still, like, something's happening.
After a bizarre scene in court today, a judge says she will issue an arrest warrant for the man accused of vandalizing license plate readers in Rio Rancho, but he says he has no intention to stop his actions.
You have plans to continue to take down these flock carriers?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. They are a clear and present threat to public safety.
He says he's going to do more. I like your hat too, bro.
44-year-old Javon Martinez is facing larceny, property damage, and tampering with evidence charges after police say he destroyed 3 flock cameras, costing Rio Rancho thousands of dollars in damage. They say he replaced the cameras with the sign saying, "You're welcome, Republic of New Mexico." Martinez.
And it's also like a kind of trend to be putting these flags on there. That's what a lot of people seem to be doing. And I noticed there's these Facebook groups where people are posting their pictures of what they've done with the flock cameras. I don't do that, because even if you're not, oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate your you're correcting me on that language. I'm using the language of the enemy. But yeah, it's pretty wild.
Showed up to court today, but he refused to identify himself during the proceedings. The judge considered that as a failing to appear in court, but Martinez claims he exercised his right to remain silent.
No, I can't. You call me, but I am here. I'm right here. I stood up. I walked up there. She wanted my name, but I have a right to not bear testimony against myself. Giving my name consults as testimony. And so I just chose to remain silent.
The judge said she would issue an arrest warrant for Martinez for failure to appear. As of this afternoon, it has yet to be filed after the hearing.
No, yeah, language is important. I always appreciate that. And yeah.
Martinez filed affidavits from witnesses saying he did show up for the hearing.
What I was going to say was, though, even if you don't have your real name on Facebook, like, Mark Zuckerberg is not your friend, and the cops will subpoena Facebook for records of those groups, and they're going to track IP addresses and everything. So, be careful. Don't be too cocky about your posting. Operational security. Gotta have some operational security.
Oh, it used to be. If you take a little bit of a closer look, you can tell it looks like it's been cut down, and the camera itself.
I think I watched that one before. Yeah, people forget about that shit. There's especially these days, everybody just is very comfortable with subpoena these nuts. Everybody's very comfortable with all the surveillance everywhere. Some places are being forced to take it down. But there are some important things to recognize, though, because there are other companies that offer the same thing. Motorola does, and so does Axon. AXON. And what a city can do is just cut their contract with Flock, publicize that they cut their contract with Flock, and then just make a contract with Motorola, because it isn't as well known. You know what I mean? It doesn't have the name association that Flock does right now. And Flock has been cracking down on everybody, even groups that just talk about there was in a couple cities they had like local community groups that got together to try to figure out what to do about them. Most of these were focused on political solutions. They weren't like, yeah, let's get together and start cutting these down because that would be bad OPSEC. But Flock sent them cease and desist letters prohibiting them from discussing what describes, reveals, analyze, or speculate about the technical capabilities, strengths or weaknesses, or vulnerabilities of non-governmental services and related technologies. Flock is denying this. Then there was this other guy who came out who claims to be a whistleblower. Let's see. Who is basically describing how the system is connected to AI and how it's used to like kind of catalog other information about you and connect it to that license plate so it could follow you around. That's basic. When they say it's just license plate scanners, people think that, we have a bad guy that we're looking for. Put this license plate into there and we'll see where he is. That can be done, but that's not how it's often being used. It's often just being used by like a lot of times for police officers' own personal business, which is often like harassing and stalking women. Or they're going after random people that they think have a warrant, some of which do, some of which don't. Trying to find the yeah, exactly. The way that they describe it is just trying to downplay the potential issues. There's also this interview with the Flock CEO. I'm trying to find it now. Where he says that the deflock people, like the website that tracks where the flock cameras are terrorists like Antifa. Let's see. Yeah, this guy who reviews cars in Minnesota got flagged for a stolen vehicle, and cops came
Your
after.
car? It's complicated. Can I explain it?
You can explain it, yes.
I review cars for a living. I fly around the world and review cars. I have a different car every single week.
The reason you have 4 cops here is
Four cops?
because your license plate is registered as stolen license plates in our system.
Are you serious?
That's why Flock has been reading it, because it's popping up as a stolen plate. Okay.
Got it. So this was picked up somewhere by Flock. Cameras that read my license plate now twice in the last couple of days. And it picked up and flagged it for the cops. You guys have been searching for this car. Unreal.
So here's the guy that got pulled over. He's absolutely shell-shocked that his plate was identified as stolen by these Flock cameras. And just imagine if the police had swarmed him and there was some kind of altercation and he died because of an interaction because of a misidentified Flock.
Yeah, people don't think about the fact that every police interaction is a potential death sentence. as we've been seeing recently with a lot of these ICE cases.
Camera. So let's just see what the average American has to say about this. This is the comment section. Flock violates the Constitution, which it absolutely does. You have a right to travel and not be stopped and searched if you've done nothing wrong. How is this not a violation of the Fourth Amendment? Of course, it's a flock camera, pretty much equivalent to a law enforcement.
Everybody hates these things. And when I was saying about the kind of cases that these are going after, like, look at this from the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Flock Safety and Texas Sheriff claimed license plate search was for missing person. It was an abortion investigation. So now they are trying to use these license plate trackers to arrest women who are having abortions out of state in these psychotic states where they have banned abortion. And then they lied about it and said it was a missing persons. And it's the same thing with ICE, where they, every time that somebody's protesting there, they're like, oh yeah, we're getting ourselves a pedo in there. He's a child abuser who killed 10 people. And it's like, you're just making that up. And really, that's what policing actually is. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about getting the bad guy. It's about keeping the hierarchy as it is. And the flock shit ain't the end of the surveillance problem. I saw this morning, that a leak of San Francisco police drone footage exposes the new reality of urban surveillance. The police department's exposure of hours of video from drone platform Skydio reveals how broadly it's watching the city from above and how the results can spill online. So here we know about Flock, but here's this other platform that we didn't even know about called Skydio, where the cops got drones all over the skies in the city, and it's tapped into a network of cameras. I would imagine that San Francisco is probably an early adopter to this, but other cities will probably be following suit, I'm sure. Let's take a look at this thing that's just happening, though, just before I came on. With all these killings, ICE may be reversing course. And putting a stop to traffic stops. I was trying to find a way to word that sounded right without saying stop. But yeah, they're going to stop pulling people over, apparently. And in this recent situation, they rammed the guy's car like twice. And they ram people's cars frequently, because that's how they stop you. Because they can't necessarily pull you over because they're not real cops. Most of the time, they don't even have the flashing lights on their shit. So people are like, who is following me? Why are these thugs following me? You don't know if these people are actually ICE or if they're Proud Boys, even though it's the same people, basically. Let me do a search and see if there are any new news stories on this news about traffic stops. Because this just broke like an hour ago. All right, I found this one. Let's see.
Breaking news. Reuters reports that ICE is suspending vehicle stops for immigration enforcement. They are a massive driver of deportations. And this comes after ICE agents shot and killed another person, the second killing in just 1 week. Johann Sebastian, the 26-year-old Colombian native killed in Biddeford, Maine yesterday, was a delivery driver, husband, and father. According to a witness who spoke with MS Now, Sebastian's wife and young daughter were seen crying at the scene. Hours after the shooting became public knowledge, DHS released a statement saying ICE was conducting surveillance on a migrant facing a final order of removal when a person departed the residence in a car. ICE agents attempted to stop the vehicle, they say. And
okay, so he was not the target. The way that they worded this tries to make it appear like he's the target. Because it says an illegal alien departed the residence in a vehicle. He was not. He was here legally with a work permit or something like that. And then it came out that he wasn't even the target. The same thing with Houston.
DHS says an officer opened fire, quote, fearing for public safety. But they have not provided any evidence to support those claims. The driver, who we now know was Sebastian, was hit by gunfire and later died. Maine Senator Angus King says DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin has since told him that Sebastian wasn't the intended target of the operation. A nearby surveillance camera captured video showing the moments after the shooting. And I have a warning, it is difficult to watch. Federal agents can be seen opening the car door and dragging an unresponsive man onto the ground, pulling him further away.
This is brutal, this video. And it shows the carelessness that these people have for human life. And I truly believe that a lot of these guys are sick, and they are getting off on this shit. They enjoy it. They want to get their kills. I mean, after Alex Preddy was killed, they were giving each other, like, you know, high fives and shit, or pounds or whatever. Like good job, bro. Nice hit. They don't look at a lot of their neighbors as human. And, you know, I do think a lot of people join both the police and the military for similar reasons as well. But with ICE, it is in overdrive because their advertising material is like run by a 20-year-old groyper. So that's attracting a higher percentage of psychos.
Away from the car, then appearing to secure his hands behind his back. Let's go right now to MS Now's Will McDuffie. He is there in Maine for us, and immigration attorney and former ICE chief counsel Veronica Cardenas is with us as well. Will, tell me what you're hearing from people in Maine.
It was a sleepy town about 20 miles south of Portland. This happened on a hilly intersection in a residential area at 7 a.m. People were
waiting. They're not saying much about this situation about, let me look for an article. They use the headline that everybody's interested in. But then I mean, of course, this is an important case, but I want to look at this situation specifically about what are the parameters of this, you know what I mean? They shouldn't have been conducting traffic stops to begin with. None of the ICE people have been punished. However, about the case in Houston last week, I think that they're being charged with homicide. I don't know what that'll amount to, though. Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin gave the directive, a law enforcement source told ABC News, after he spoke with Senator Susan Collins of Maine, who urged Mullin to cease all non-urgent vehicle stops. Is this just in Texas and Maine or across the country? It seems to be countrywide. And there were people protesting outside of Susan Collins's office because she approved the ICE funding that came through a couple months ago. She was the one of the deciding votes. I guess every Democrat was technically a deciding, or every Democrat that voted for it was a deciding vote, but she was one of them. Multiple sources said the pause is temporary and that ICE officers will receive new training on vehicle stops. So probably not. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. PR bullshit. When I saw that headline that they were, I was like, because like I said, they're not supposed to be doing it in the first place, but that doesn't matter. That's why I think that no matter how much you know your rights, as the country becomes more fascist, that is going to matter less and less. I hate to promote my book again, but since I've been going through the screenplay, there are a lot of scenes in the book that are relevant to this. There was a scene where the cops were trying to get in my house, and there were people inside, there were people outside, and I was just like trying to, the cops in the front, cops in the back, and I was like, no, you can't get in here, you can't get in here. Everybody stay inside, lock the door, like. And I had like the standoff with them where they eventually left, but that even that kind of thing, who knows if that would have flew today, because especially if there was an ICE situation where they said, hey, somebody illegal is in there. I don't, could have went a lot differently. So I do think it is important to exercise your rights when you can, but also don't expect that to be your magic bullet. Let me see if there's any other details on this. What was that? 54 minutes ago, 52 minutes ago. The other thing is that if anybody that runs away from ICE who is not even marked like as police, you can kill. That seems to be the situation. The administration's pressure to increase arrests has put officers under too much stress, sources said. And this comes in the midst of a nationwide ramp up of ICE enforcement, where they want to double the quotas for people who are arrested, I think to like 2,000 a day. Yeah, Albania is awesome how they have been pushing back against that. It seems like at least they got the Trumps out of there. That is a crazy situation, though, as far as just how they tried, the way the news cycle works, where they could just say, oh, we're going to stop pulling people over. And then everybody's just like, okay, all right, all done. And then next week they increase it to 3,000, that need to be arrested all day, every day. And then more people get shot, but then less people notice. And meanwhile, the cops are still shooting people. There are two police shootings I got to get to. I'm gonna take a break from the cop stuff for a minute, though. Let's move on to some foreign policy stuff. Let's see. There was this clavicular has been doing this tour of Israel with IDF like handlers with him.
Anything in Israel.
that he's saying are his girlfriends.
But the women in Tel Aviv are absolutely gorgeous. I mean, like,
yeah, I mean, for you, that's like, it makes sense. Yeah.
Bro, I was kicking it with this girl who was a soldier in the IDF. Hot as fuck. So like, that was sick. And like,
there were pictures of him going around with Ben Gvir that people were saying was real. Yeah, do your thing. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping through. And then there was like, I think she ran, like the girl that he was with on one of his streams ran the TikTok account for the IDF. And then he said that he was just there. He's just, you know, going international, mogging everybody. That's what he said. Because he feels that he's more attractive than people in foreign countries, so he's going to go to foreign countries so he can be better looking than them there. It was very fucking weird thing to say. Ro Khanna got detained by Israeli settlers, and I think the IDF was involved as well, and a CNN crew did as well.
Eyes of those settlers.
I think he probably was excited for this to happen and is like, I'm gonna run for president now or some shit. But still, I mean, it's good that he went. You know what I mean? Like, but he definitely saw this as a clip moment, I'm sure.
21 and 22-year-olds with guns, laughing that they had detained us. The arrogance of those young IDF soldiers that my tax dollars are funding, having no respect for the fact that they were detaining Americans, no respect that there was an American congressperson in that bus, and laughing when our translator told them that there are Americans there and the American embassy is concerned. It is the arrogance of power, of a power that has had no accountability, total impunity, and has created a toxic culture of oppression. I saw the arrogance.
There was this other situation with the CNN crew. Where is it? I think I might have saved it. Yeah, they're like, yeah, we can. Yeah, let's see. This is the CNN situation. This is crazy.
No, keep going, go, car.
Go, drive, drive, move, 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 get the fuck out of the way, move.
What's going on? What are we doing?
We're trying to get to the spot where Seyfullah Musalat was beaten to death by settlers a year ago, and where his friend Mohammed Shalabi was shot to death by settlers. Last April, settlers occupied the olive fields and started attacking any farmers who tried to get to their land. From the town of El Mesra, you can look up at the mountain where the fields are and see the settlers living in the Palestinians' farmhouses. And so today is both, I think, a tribute to Saif, and his father wants to be where he took his last breaths, but it's also sort of moment of defiance to reclaim their land that has been in these families for generations.
في مستوطن معاه M16 وفي مستوطن معاه سلاح خفيف اللي معاه M16 بطخ وانتبه انه بطخ من بعيد.
I think the rule is stay with large groups of people. I think if you get caught on your own, you die.
That's actually exactly what happened to Saif. Exactly.
This is so frequent too. Like every single day. They go into areas like before the IDF even. And they say that they have a like policy against it, but it's bullshit.
Right in the car.
I don't see any guns.
I also don't see guns.
Oh, he's got a knife. He's going for the tires.
Oh my God!
Go.
Fuck! No, he's going to our car.
Go, drive, drive, move!
That is insane. Like, what the fuck?
Move! Move! Get the fuck out of the way! Move! 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 Drive. Move! Go! Watch out!
They're right behind us.
Did they just like puncture the person's tires in the front?
Go!
Destroying the car if they got the.
Fuck. There are more of them.
Go! Shit!
Oh, fuck.
Go!
Drive.
Window, Adele, window.
Close window.
Window, Adele.
Go.
Bruh.
So the guy have a knife.
The guy did have a knife. Luckily, the guy did not have a gun.
Yeah, it seemed like he popped them tires with that knife.
No.
Shit is
Oh, he's got a
crazy.
knife. He's going for the top.
Then there's this young American woman that has been kidnapped by the IDF, I guess. 20-year-old. And she's been in detention for 5 weeks. And the government just does nothing about it. If a U.S. citizen was in this kind of situation in any other country, almost any other country, it would be a massive deal. But no, this has gotten like no coverage. This guy who funds a lot of Palestine activism as well was arrested. And now he's facing extradition to the U.S. It's crazy they arrested him in Ibiza. And now I guess he's going to be extradited to the U.S., where we are trying to do away with the International Criminal Court because, there might actually be some accountability for these war criminals. Let's see this bullshit from Marco Rubio.
For 250 years, Americans have governed ourselves as a free and sovereign people. We choose our own leaders, we determine our own laws, and when we're accused of a crime, we stand for judgment before a jury of our own peers. This is the essential and indispensable.
Yeah, but the people in power can't be held accountable to the law here. So somebody needs to hold you accountable. They're just mad because they don't want anybody to hold them accountable.
Principal feature of our form of government. It is the foundation of our shared way of life. But today, powerful people in faraway places want to take that away from us. They believe that they should be in charge of your laws, of your country.
This is some of the most dystopian shit I have ever seen.
Your life. And they don't care whether or not you agree. Halfway across the world, there's an institution that calls itself the International Criminal Court. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you haven't. But chances are you don't know the names of its judges, of its prosecutors, or its president. And you shouldn't have to. But as we speak, the ICC and its friends are waging a war against our country, not with bullets or missiles, but with statutes and compacts and the force of so-called international law. When the ICC was born 24 years ago, they told us that it was merely a narrow backstop, a global court that would step in to prosecute only the gravest offenses, things like genocide and war crimes, and only when a nation's courts were unable to prosecute them on their own. But the
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happening.
truth is, it was something far more radical and extreme. It was a global tribunal staffed by unelected globalist bureaucrats who claim their power is almost unlimited. The danger of this global court has only continued to grow. Today, it threatens every aspect of our political and legal system. Border Patrol agents removing violent criminals from our country, American Marines risking their lives to defend our homeland, prosecutors working to dismantle terrorist plots to attack and kill Americans. If we stand idle, all of them would be at the mercy of foreign judges thousands of miles away, facing the constant risk of prosecution and even imprisonment.
Good. That's what we want. No, you are a scumbag and you belong in The Hague.
For the so-called crime of defense.
You are not defending your country. You're defending your power. You're defending the powerful people in your country, and you're defending their power to lord over the people of this country.
Defending their own country. The American people never agreed to any of this, and they never will. Read the words of our Declaration of Independence. We fought a revolution against a foreign power, transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. Independence is our birthright. We will never let foreign bureaucrats take that away from us. This administration will not sit by as the ICC and its allies seek to threaten our people. If they believe they can deprive us of our sovereignty, we will teach them the full meaning of American resolve.
This is insanely dystopian, tyrannical bullshit. This guy sucks, man. I mean, not that we're surprised, but, you know, there needs to be accountability for the war criminals from Bush on. And they're going to do everything in their power to make sure it doesn't happen, including becoming a rogue state, because that's essentially what they're doing. They never really were party to the internet. I think like they didn't sign the treaties to make themselves be held accountable in the first place. But they're still being charged under the standards of the court, you know? And I feel like this might be because they know that they got war crime charges coming for them. There already is a one world government. It's the United States and its allies telling the world what to do. There's one, technically, it kind of is a one world government if you think about it, because it's a unipolar world where there is a global hegemon. Hopefully, the United States becomes less powerful. I mean, I think that that's already happened with the whole Strait of Hormuz thing. It's very much shown that I lost my thought. Sorry. I was pulling up the next link. I only know what like 10% of your comments actually mean. 5213. Like some of them I understand, but I don't understand about the past 10. The center does not hold. The Buddha has no head. Peace is a war against war, not for. one of the things with these data centers is that these city council people are forced to sign NDAs about the developments, which probably means they're getting paid off. In this township meeting, somebody asked these council people if they have signed any NDAs, and they all, like, refused to answer.
Have you personally signed any NDA, any agreement, or had any private communication, such as meetings, phone calls, text messages, or emails with any developer, company, landowner, or representative regarding any current or potential project that could affect Tyrone Township? Chris Robetta.
No.
Dean?
No.
Jennifer?
I'm not answering your question. This is not the time or place.
I can ask you whatever I want. Don't tell me what I can
but
say.
We don't have to answer you.
But you're communicating with me, Jennifer. I didn't think you were supposed to do that. Greg Carnes, how about you? Yes or no?
Not the place. We've already discussed this. So
Who's already discussed it? I'm sorry? Who's already discussed
this
it?
has been discussed.
Who has? Who's discussed it? I've not discussed this with you. What are you saying? Pam Moffler? Yes or no?
You work for us.
That's right.
It's crazy.
Herman Ferguson?
They're caught.
Won't answer. Zach Tucker?
Mike, stop. You say
Excuse
guilty
me.
one more time, you're out. I'm not.
Somebody in the background said guilty, and he's mad. These people are so arrogant, and they really do feel like they own everybody. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, so many of politicians and people in, like cops and shit, like, they really just they hate people. They're very and they think they're better than people. And they think that they have the right to do what they want with other people and other people's livelihoods.
Valerie,
Stop the clock, please. While Greg's talking, I'd like my time back, please.
I don't need the comment in the background.
I need my time back. And quit interrupting me. Zach Tucker?
Gangster, yo.
But you answered at the Planning Commission. But you've decided not to answer now. Well, at least you're not looking as angry at me this time. I guess you're checking yourself.
I wonder what happened on the last
Have
meeting.
you personally signed any NDA?
That's bullshit, though. And yeah, that's a good point. They shouldn't. Politicians are supposed to be representing people. Why are they signing NDAs with corporations? That seems fucked up. Yeah, that is a good point. To hold the means of production alienates, like if we all had civil duty to be conscripted into board of director positions. Interesting point. Yeah, they do all need to be voted out. I hope that that's a possibility. See, that one I did kind of understand. And I think that people definitely have legitimate reasons for this. Look at this, like to be opposed to this stuff popping up. This is on Facebook Meta data center. Water discharges suspended after contaminating the city's reclamation water supply with bacterium. System offline for months for cleaning. Closed loop cooling system purge spread rare metal resistant bacteria in Xi'an's water system. The city has revoked Meta's contractors' discharge privileges. And a lot of these places are getting built the way that they are because the Trump administration just gave a, they just opened the gate and said that it's a national security interest to get these things passed through as quickly as possible with no environmental restrictions whatsoever. So I think people have definitely good reason to be pissed. Port of Baltimore had secret contracts after 9/11 and USSC allowed it. Interesting. Facebook has been, or Meta has been getting a lot of bad press recently. This shit is also incredibly dystopian. Meta used AI to target workers with medical conditions for layoffs, lawsuit claims. I 100% believe that. 26 plaintiffs seek a court order blocking layoffs set to start on July 22nd. Meta said the claims lack merit and people made workforce decisions, not AI. Lawsuits say Meta used productivity scores and AI token usage in layoff selections. Yeah, there is definitely. I feel like the data centers and the flock cameras are like two really interesting areas of resistance where there is like nobody on the other side. The first couple news stories that I saw, it was like they were interviewing like the old lady on the street who was like, I don't understand it. But I feel like their comments are getting so lit up that they have to be a little bit more honest about the resistance to it. Oh yeah, if you are in Ohio, it's good to know that they're changing the laws now so they can ask you for your ID even if you're the passenger of a vehicle. And I'm wondering if this is connected to all the ICE shit. Because if you're not driving, they technically can't card you. Or yeah, they can't ID you. I remember the guy that I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, Clyde, he would always want to sit like in the back, not in the passenger seat, not in the front, because he like half the time had warrants and shit. But I saw a story about that today. Aaron Brockovich data center map. Let me check it out. Yeah, I've been told about this one, and I saw a couple of her interviews. I didn't realize it was up yet, though. Interesting. Under construction, operational, proposed, community reported. And I guess this, I wonder how accurate these are. Oh, I guess the ones with more reports are probably more likely to be accurate. Yeah, and it looks like you could tell how many reported the specific area. Like this one, like 4 people were like, yeah, there's one in the zip code happening. There's been a bunch of like signs in my neighborhood and stuff, and I never see signs for anything good in my neighborhood because I live in the middle of nowhere. And there are people like, we're not having this data center shit. Drought conditions, interesting. Yeah, this seems like a good resource for sure. I think that we're getting somewhere with this. There are some jurisdictions where people are so paid off where it's like kind of makes it impossible. But I do have a feeling that their political careers will probably be short, and they probably know that. They were probably like, if I seal this deal, I will never have to work again in my life. People will vote me out, and whatever. I don't care. I'm be a multimillionaire. A lot of people make those kind of calculations. See what else we got here. Yeah, I have a feeling that most of the politicians that vote for this stuff are going to have a hard time in their elections. Let's see what I got here. No, I had a couple of other stories before I got back into the ICE stuff. This rapper, that rapper Boozy Badass, he's suing these guys that he paid $300,000 to get him a pardon. But like that's illegal to do anyway, so I don't think that he has a case there. Yeah, Nashville and I think Memphis was where Elon was like totally destroying the local environments. And yeah, now people are being asked to conserve on energy while they're sucking it all up. Let's see what we got. Is it? I have I don't mind the heat too much, but I'm out in the woods where it is a lot cooler than it is in the city. When I drive into town, it is significantly hotter. And while we're looking at the ice thing, I definitely don't want to forget that we have the regular police doing this shit on a daily basis too. they've been kind of getting a pass because ice is a lot worse, but I also I have concerns about the tactics that we see from ICE, like kind of getting legitimized through ICE. And, you know, I can see cops going in this direction too. Like I said, cops probably don't like that, you know, they can't necessarily run up in your house every single moment, that you are allowed to stand outside of your house and say you can't get in. But, you know, what's to stop them from making the same excuse that ICE makes?
Who've died at the hands of law enforcement has risen significantly over the last couple of.
I don't understand the problem with 15-minute cities. Like, I don't understand that. Like, there's food deserts. So, like, people can't get everything that they need around them, and there isn't a walkable distance. So, like, I don't, I know people talk about it like it's some bad thing, but I don't understand what people are afraid of. Like, you're going to be locked inside of it or something. Like, I think people are talking about two different things when they're talking about that. Build what yourself? Just build it yourself? Don't understand. But yeah, I mean, there are food deserts all over the country, most of them in urban areas, and also it's very difficult for people to get around without a car that live in certain areas, and even to like get to the grocery store without a car and stuff. So I definitely think it's a good thing to want everything to be within a walkable distance from your home that you need. I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
Decades. NPR's Ritu Chatterjee has more.
The researchers used mortality files from the CDC's National Center for Health Statistics. They found that there had been nearly 12,000 deaths caused by law enforcement officers between 2003 and 2024. That included 270 children. Annual deaths of adults at the hands of law enforcement more than doubled in that time period. For children aged 17 and under, the annual deaths jumped by nearly 5 times, from 8 to 37. Nearly 90% of all deaths were caused by firearms. However, the researchers note that deaths by law enforcement are underreported, and their analysis may be underestimating the real toll. Ritu Chatterjee, NPR News.
That study is published in JAMA.
So yeah, on the rise. Like, police violence is escalating as this ICE stuff is happening. And I don't think that this is like a coincidence. And also there's the deal with this model cities thing that I did a video about, where Trump is, you know, holding this contest where he's going to give a massive amount of money to the police departments that crack down the hardest on crime. I think that I used to advocate for the just remove yourself from society and just start your own thing. And to some extent, I do think that is a solution, but I do think it should be something that we do, but I also don't think it's everything. And I think that we can't ignore the system. That I used to say a lot of these things, like live like the system doesn't exist and all that kind of thing. While I think it's 100% important to build alternatives, to build outside systems and things like that, I think we definitely need to recognize that a lot of people, they don't have the ability to necessarily to just drop out and start doing their own thing for a variety of different reasons. What I'm trying to get at is, I think that when we remove ourselves from the system, we need to still think about, like, taking care of the people around us. And when we try to develop alternatives for the system, we need to make sure that everybody is included in them, you know? Yeah, I mean, I would define the system as just like the ruling class and the kind of traditions and institutions around it. But yeah, I like with the whole Trump thing. You know, for so many years early on in my activism, I was just like, yeah, and I still try to stay away from electoral politics to some extent for a lot of reasons. But I don't completely ignore it anymore because it's shown itself to be significant. It's shown itself to have a significant impact. So, you know, how much participation we should have in that versus how much participation we should have in building alternative systems. I still think that the alternative system should be the priority. Like building a way out of this that they don't control is a way out of this. And people say, what do you mean by they? The government is just us. It's just the people. It isn't. You know, the people don't get into positions of power and stay in there. Very rarely do you get somebody who isn't from one of these families that have been in politics forever, just like we were talking a couple minutes ago, with it having very similar characteristics to a monarchy. I mean, people would rather, no, that's the thing is like, that's the other thing is people do not want to sacrifice their comforts. And I don't think that we should expect people to sacrifice their comforts in order to, you know, build a free world. You know, people should be able to keep their comforts, keep their things that they enjoy. And for a lot of people, off the grid living kind of sounds like hell. And, you know, myself included, even though I lived like out in the woods, you know, there are a lot of things I don't like about it, and I live a very modern life out in the woods. So yeah, I think there are limitations there. And it also, when it comes to like the services that we use, how the hell do you boycott Google? You know what I mean? Like, or any, you know, even something like Spotify. It is such a pain in the ass to try to listen to music and try to like without that app. Even though, yeah, they're terrible and they do terrible things. It's one of those things, you know. Now, I remember they tried to build the alternative Spotify, Audius. I was a big fan of that, big supporter of that. But that kind of crashed and burned. Sadly, it was supposed to like pay the artists more and all this, but it didn't end up happening like that, unfortunately. But I'm also generally less optimistic about solutions in general these days. Like, I remember when I first started with activism and stuff, and I was, you know, pointing to all these terrible things that were happening around the world, the wars, you know, all this stuff. And people were like, why don't you tell us about some solutions? So I focused a lot of time on solutions. And then, like, over time, I've gotten less confident in any of them being like a one-shot thing. Like, yeah, most of the things that people mention are helpful, but at the same time, a lot of the hope that I had is no more. I think that we're in a worse place for revolution and for like positive change in the world than we were 10, 15 years ago. Definitely 15 years ago. Definitely 10 too. We've gotten farther and farther away from a moment where people could grasp at freedom somehow. Because more and more of Hello? Can you hear me now? Something, my mic got unplugged somehow. I don't know where y'all lost me. That sucks. Damn, how long was I gone for? That sucks. I have no clue how that happened. Very strange. Yeah, I don't know where I cut off, but oh, really? Damn. That sucks. Let me check. No, yeah, I don't know what happened. If anything ever happens like that, let me know for sure. Like, let me just check. I'm just checking the old video to make sure. That sucks. Okay, so yeah, I got most of it. Like about how my hope kind of drained from the early days of the internet when I thought it was going to create world peace. Because you know, if you see how people are living, like if you can speak to somebody in Iraq from around the world, and you know, you see their humanity, you can't have all this propaganda telling you that they're evil. And then, you know, we can actually see the real history of the world and stuff like that. Then, you know, the world will be different. There will be this radical change in a positive direction. And that didn't happen at all. And then with like, you know, Occupy Wall Street and stuff like that, I thought that was going to be like a big revolutionary movement. It was not. And then even if you look at the revolutions that happened in other countries like Egypt, you know, the whole Arab Spring that happened, there was almost a revolution in Greece around the same time. And just the powers that be just swept back in. You have a military dictatorship in Egypt now. And it's none of the things that I thought were possible avenues were worked out. And there were also movements at the time that I thought had some hope that are now splintered and co-opted into other directions. So for me thinking about solutions, I'm like totally at a loss. Aside, like, actually, I think my mode has changed. Like, before, my mode was more utopian. Like, how do we... Really? Oh no, this is not good. Let me check the edit mic settings. Hold on. That's so weird. Audio. Okay, yeah. How's this? Is this better? This should be better. This should be better. That, I apologize. That is terrible. Let me know if this is better. I switched the mic. Bad day today. Sounds the same. What the hell? Audio, mic, headset, Taltronics. Yeah, that shouldn't be that's the wrong one. Default. Why isn't it saving? Yeah, it's not saving. I don't understand. Yeah. It's not giving me the right mic. Very weird. Is this it? Is that it? Is that better? I hope so. But see, they all say Bluetooth, and that is not good. I shouldn't be coming through anything in Bluetooth. Yeah. Well, that sucks. Yeah, I don't even know what's happened. Like, something's up with StreamYard where it won't let me connect. I don't know what. There's a setting thing, and it's not connected to my main mic anymore. I may have to cut it early today. Yeah, I think I probably would have. I might have to like get out of here and get back in, and I don't know if it's probably something like that. I was kind of running low on stories though. I was just gonna go through all the ICE stuff, but yeah, this kind of messes me up a little bit because if I stop it, I gotta hold up. Let's see. Oh, wait. What about this? Has this changed anything? Well, no, I was kind of starting to. Hopefully that changed something. But it doesn't say if it's Bluetooth, like, you know. So weird. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some troubleshooting with this and figure it out. I don't like having bad audio. I could just do a video later on anything that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, that's not good because anybody new that comes in here is gonna bounce. and I can't have that. It'd be better to just do a video. This has never happened to me before, though. All right, yeah, I think I'm gonna cut it and try to fix this. I'll put out another video on the stuff that I missed, but just for the sake of the stream, yeah, I'll try to work that out. I appreciate y'all hanging with me. Peace. Don't forget to check out my other videos. And if you have the ability and want to contribute, take a look at my Patreon, where you can get a subscription to my books and other cool stuff. I have some other videos to watch, so if you haven't seen them, go and binge on them. I'll see you next time.